What up, Power Players? You're in the right place if you're ready to own your power. I'm Coach Simone Kelly, author, intuitive life coach, and Reiki master with Own Your Power Communications. Our content serves as your trusted guide to conscious living, intuitive wisdom, and personal growth. Joining us today is my very talented co-host and associate producer with the velvet voice, Nikki Clifton. Welcome back, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Simone. I am absolutely ready for today's show. And today's show topic is how to live a holistic lifestyle. So how would you define a holistic lifestyle, Simone?
Well, it's not necessarily just my definition. I did a little bit of research and put some things together, and I didn't realize I was actually officially living one. So it's really pretty much a lot of the concept that Own Your Power follows, where we talk about having an Own Your Power lifestyle. And it's really a lifestyle where you connect, everything together, where it's like, your diet, your sleep, your exercise. We're all about me time. Everybody knows I'm very big on fitness and wellness. And just giving back to yourself and have a overall state of wellness. And I think also how you deal with your relationships as well. That's important. Not to just be about work. So a lot of people, that's all we do, So it's nice to have a little bit of balance. So yeah, that's how I would define it. I'm so excited because we're welcoming Monica Gonzalez, who is a sustainability and wellness expert, also a marketing expert, a very good friend of mine, one of my besties. Monica, what's up? And for those who remember, back in the day, she was actually a co-host on Your Power Network, where we had a show called The Holistic, well, what perfect title, right? Holistic Healing Hour. And we talked all about things holistically. So, and Monica has definitely educated me on a lot of different things that I didn't know about. So I definitely think she'd be perfect to talk about this topic. So Monica, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in.
So Monica, tell us, how were you first introduced to the holistic lifestyle?
Well, it started probably when I was 31, 32. I started working out a little bit more, really just getting on a journey of fitness. And then I stumbled upon yoga at the gym. And then I remember like every time I took a yoga class, I felt this like weight come off of my shoulders. And it was just, there was this intuition or this level of intelligence within my body that knew that I was about to embark on a journey I had no like conscious awareness of. And so that's pretty much how I started. And then from there, just one thing after the next, just kind of, started trying different things, learning a little bit more, researching more, reading more. So that's really how it started. It started when I was in my early 30s.
And yoga, I always tell people yoga is like therapy, because you do feel like a whole other person sometimes after you leave a class, if you have a really good class for that matter. So what we want to talk about is 8 ways to start a holistic lifestyle. And I think a lot of people, they're kind of like, where do I begin? Like, what do I do? And a lot of people are already living bits and pieces of it, but they don't really know what they can implement. All right, so we've got the 8 tips from gomacro.com. It's actually, I think they're like a what do they call it, granola bar? Are you familiar with the brand, Monica?
No, I've actually never heard of it.
Yeah, they sell like different like health foods. But yeah, they had a really good article on it. And the first one was identify your values and goals. And what one person considers to be a part of a holistic lifestyle might not hold any importance for another person. That's why it's important to take time to reflect on your personal values, purpose, and goals, and decide what holistic means for you. Like, what does that mean for your life? And this is a big thing, because I think a lot of people don't even have a concept of what their values are. Sometimes they don't really like take the time to like understand who they are. And I'm going to put a link when we're done in the show notes to an assessment you can take that I just took, that I've done it many years ago. And as a life coach, you have to obviously do this with your clients, but it's so interesting to see how your life shifts over the years. Even it hasn't changed that much, to be honest, but I think everybody should take this test. So I'm definitely going to put the link. But what does that mean to you as far as values? Does that make sense to you, Monica?
Yeah. I think it's just kind of, for me, I was ready to just be at peace. I had just come out of a lot of turbulence in my 20s. And it was showing up for me in ways of anxiety, just like this level of, really a level of anxiety and feeling like I needed to try something different because I saw a lot of the same patterns. I started doing that evaluation, right? So you start seeing the same patterns show up, and then knowing that there had to be something under the surface that I wasn't really connecting the dots to. So that's really, I agree. It's just really about, doing that reassessment and making sure that you know exactly what your goals are, just so you can embark on that journey, that holistic journey. So I think, like the article says, everyone's journey is different. Everyone's journey looks different in terms of like what their goals and what they're looking to accomplish by going on a holistic journey. So you really have to do that assessment within yourself, and you have to be honest. Like, a lot of times we're doing these assessments, but we're not being really truly honest with ourselves as to what exactly do we need to, maybe unlearn is the right word, right? It's not teach, it's really unlearn these layers of life that we have. It's the unlearning of like those, letting go. Like when I started my yoga journey, I remember my teacher, Lori, she would always say, yoga is really like this unlayering or unpeeling back of layers like an onion. So it's like you're peeling back all these layers of traumas, pains, but also like, everything that society teaches us, right? Like through schooling, through our educational system, through these societal norms, that sometimes it stops us from being our true selves. And so it's really just like this peeling back, like, okay, well, I don't really need that guard and I have to let it go. And I don't need to attach myself to this person because they really didn't bring any joy to me. So it's really about what are those things that bring joy to me, and then start doing more of that.
Yeah, and really understanding your passions. I have a lot of clients that don't know what their passions are, like they forgot what they were. So yeah, just digging deep is what would help. Nikki, give us a second one.
Yeah, so the second one is eat foods that make you feel the best. And so the tip is not to overcomplicate things when it comes to food and diet, but eat foods that make you feel good. So for some people, that might mean eating intuitively, following a plant-based diet, while for others, like myself, it would mean eating clean 80% of the time and then the other 20% indulging in a snack. So what did you think about that?
Me, I totally agree with that. I think I believe in that our foods can be heavy and weigh us down. So I think if we eat foods that are too dense, that are not healthy, and that have too many chemicals in them, they will cloud our minds. I mean, it's scientifically proven at this point. So I think it's essential to understand what you're consuming. And that comes from like entertainment and food, right? And then so you don't have to go into these strict diets, but it's really just eating as clean as you possibly can. And even if I'm like I love chocolate, right? I will always eat chocolate, but it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat the chocolate that has, tons of sugar added in it, the milk added in. I eat dark chocolate. So it's just really, it's a lot of shifts that you have to do just to be able to kind of find that space that you're ready to get into. But I definitely believe in intuitive eating, and I believe that your body will tell you once you connect with it in a very honest and like authentic space.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because just saying foods that you love, I don't know if that's the greatest advice for some people, because they may be like, "All right, Popeyes, it is."
Yeah, no,
Two
that's
hours me, two
yeah,
piece
that's
coming up now. So
well, and that's not being like, that's not like, really and truly, your body knows that's not good for you because you feel lethargic, you feel heavy, you feel like slow. So once you're tapping into your real self, like those levels of like, what's really good for me? What is it that I really need? Then you can really say, okay, well, I need some fruit today and I'm going to eat my fruit, right? Or I need something a little denser today, and you'll do that, and without judging yourself, and you give yourself lots of grace. I'm a firm believer in grace.
And I like Nikki gives herself 20% grace. I like that. I like that concept.
Mm-hmm.
Because I indulge in my carrot cake from Publix every now and then. So but I work out 6 days a week, so I balance it out. Yep. So that's a nice segue to number 3. Find movement that you love. There are thousands of workouts there to choose from. but the best one is the one you love doing. Lifting weights or going for a run can definitely count. So does dancing, biking, swimming, hiking, kayaking, blah, blah, blah. So I love CrossFit. I love yoga, hot yoga in particular. I like going for walks and all that cool stuff. So I think that's huge because a lot of people, we have these sedentary jobs where we don't move at all. So, and move your body is a big focus for On Your Power. We actually did a show called Move Your Body one time. And belly dance. Did I say belly dance? Yeah.
No, you didn't, but you
So
don't.
we know you like yoga. Monica was my yoga teacher. She still is in some ways. Yoga bully, aka hashtag yoga bully. If it wasn't for her, I learned how to do a headstand. Never did a headstand in my whole life. So Nikki, what do you like to do for moving your body?
I play tennis, and I actually enjoy HIIT, high intensity interval training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Monica, aside from yoga, what else do you do?
So I love HIIT as well. So that's something I discovered about a year and a half ago. So I do that. I like doing the lower body, like the low intensity kind of workouts with some weight on it. I think weight is, using weights is essential.
Yep.
Kayaking. I love being outdoors. I love being outside, like kayaking, hiking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's another bullet point we're going to get to, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so that's important. Everybody try to incorporate some movement into your life. That would be very helpful. What do you got next, Nikki?
Well, it's a no-brainer for this next one, but it bears repeating. If you don't do anything else on the list, you have to focus on getting high quality sleep. It only takes 2 nights of poor sleep to see how it can affect your mood, your focus, your motivation, and it will even screw up your hunger pangs. What do you think about that, Monica?
I believe you need lots of, I definitely am a firm believer in getting all the rest that you need. Yeah, I think 8 hours is essential. And I'm like someone that once I feel myself getting sleepy in the middle of the day, I will take a cat nap.
I was going to say,
10 minutes.
Naps help.
Yeah, it might be all of 10 minutes. And I'm like one of those nappers that take like a 10, 15-minute nap and I'm fully recharged. But I definitely believe in a good rest.
Oh, why am I'm yawning because we're talking about napping. There's actually a YouTube there's several, but you can just type in YouTube nap, on YouTube, like a nap, take a nap, and they'll have like a alarm in 20 minutes or 30-minute nap. Ooh. And I've done it. So because it's like, man, I'm awake. But yeah, because it's sometimes I know I can go overboard, and when you love what you do, sometimes you don't realize how the time is passing and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, and the thing that will encourage people, I think, too, is they say if you sleep more, you burn fat more, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
your
cortisol levels drop. Like you're not under this level of stress because your body's resting and repairing itself.
Right. So yeah, we got that. So the next one is, what's the next one? One of my favorite ones, me time, quiet time and reflection. Number 5, holistic living also includes caring for your soul, whether it's a spiritual practice, gratitude, journaling, meditation, prayer, breath work, yoga, therapy, time in nature. That's what I was saying. We were going to talk about that. Or a simple self-care practice. Make space for a little silence and self-reflection in your weekly rhythm. This is big part of what I teach, because there's so many people that we don't know how to wind down. We got the TV going, we got the cell phone in our ears all the time. We don't know how to like unplug and connect with ourselves, and we don't even know who we are because we don't connect with ourselves enough. And because I teach intuition, you have to do that. So with you guys, do you do anything for your quiet time and reflection?
I read a lot. I'm still very much an avid reader, so I get to myself and I curl up with a good book still.
And Monica?
I love being outside in nature. Like that's my thing. Or just watch something that's like I don't have to think too much. It's like a silly watch or something like that. Something that's just kind of like, funny to watch. I like funny shows, but mostly for me, it's being outdoors in nature and observing it.
Yes, like just taking the time to look at, like, take your headphones down, listen to the birds. We don't do that enough. I remember as a kid, me and my one of my best friends, we would lay on the little pillows that go on your couch, and we'd lay them on my steps and just look at the clouds. We're like, oh, look at Mickey Mouse. Or look, we can make, we just literally would enjoy nature and just looking up at the clouds. Like kids don't even do that anymore. What do you got? Number 6, Nikki.
Prioritize relationships. So there are actually areas in the world who its inhabitants live the longest, and they are called blue zones. And the reason why they're called blue zones is because these people, in addition to their diet and movement, what they have in common is that they prioritize and nurture their social relationships. And there's been study after study that finds that there are lower instances of hypertension, diabetes, and obesity among people who not only have strong relationships, but the relationships are healthy. You would not believe how your relationships actually affect you very physically. Monica?
No, I totally agree with that. I am big on relationships. First of all, I'm like a loyal Scorpio. That is, my friendships are a lifetime.
Guess I'm stuck with her.
Can't go nowhere. No, but I think they're important. Like, and so when I think of nurturing those relationships, I think about those that are really not one-sided relationships, relationships that are very much give and take. You have that level of ebb and flow between the two people. But also find it extremely so at the foundation of all of that is the relationship that one has with oneself, right? And so that has to be like almost that has to be a given. Like you have to have the strongest relationship with yourself before that carries on to anyone else. And I think that's what really makes really good relationships, when you're working on yourself, when you're really noticing the things within you that might, when you have like what's it called? Like when you see things in others that you might not like within yourself, kind of like learn from that. But yeah, I'm totally big on relationships and community and forever families.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're very big on family too. That's that Latina culture. She's like, oh, we're having breakfast with my dad. I'm having this. Like she always, her family is very, very tight, which I love. The other thing that I think is important for people that are very busy to make time for their friends, like literally scheduling, even if it's a phone call or because I have some friends that we talk a lot on social media, but we have to still make the time to like do a FaceTime every now and then or do let's have lunch, even if it's like every 6 months, but at least let's see each other in person and stay in contact with each other because you have no idea what some people might be going through. They're like suffering in silence and because nobody's reaching out to them. So yeah.
I'd like to add something to that about healthy relationships. We're all on a different journey and in a different place in our lives. So just because a person is in a different place, it doesn't necessarily for me mean that they are a bad person.
Exactly.
It just may mean that they don't have the bandwidth to accept a particular place or particular principle that you have for your life. So for me, it's about learning who can receive what about me and engaging with them from their place of their own self-discovery.
And I mean, to that note too, there's also friendships that, maybe you grow apart because you're not on the same page. And some people just don't, it's like, okay, we were friends back in 8th grade, but see you on Facebook.
Yeah, I used to have a hard time with that. I used to have a really hard time with that.
What, letting go?
Letting go of like those nostalgic type relationships. Oh, we're best friends in like 8th grade. Oh, we had our first kid together. And then I finally had to realize that sometimes those people they didn't have the capacity to really fully embrace me, like you said. And then it was finally letting go. And I think that's just important to know when it's time to let go of a situation.
All right, so number 7 is get outside. Oh, but we actually talked about it again. I didn't realize it was so many times to talk about getting outside. And it's funny, I tell my clients, get out of your turtle shell. Like, people that just stay in the house, especially since COVID, a lot of people still like being home. They don't want to leave the house. So this talks about the average American adult spends just 5 hours per week outdoors. That's sad. If you have an indoor or remote job, it takes intentional effort to get outside. If you have a dog, maybe you go outside and walk the dog, but so there are a lot of benefits of nature with improved memory and creativity to lower stress and improved health markers. So yeah, I know Monica's an avid camper. I don't do mosquitoes too well, so that's not me, but I do like walking. I love hiking. I love being in nature. What else do you like to do, Monica and Nikki? Want to share anything?
Yep.
Go ahead, Monica. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I like being barefoot all the time outside.
She's a hippie. I'm grounding.
I like work. I love working out outside. Like to me, it's like I'd rather work out outside than inside. So that's one of my. And then whenever I have something growing in the yard, I like to go out in the yard and mess with it.
Yeah, and so for me, again, I like to play tennis, of course, outside, but I don't mind doing like a 2 mile run on a trail, in a park, something like that. That feels good to get outside and get a run as opposed to a treadmill.
And Nikki, we got one last one to wrap this up. Share that with
Okay,
us.
so what you want to do to start building your holistic lifestyle is something called habit stacking because it may feel overwhelming to start building this type of lifestyle. So the tip is, say you drink coffee in the morning, and you can start with something as small as taking a multivitamin. So what you do is put the multivitamin next to the coffee maker. That way you can take your vitamin while you're having your coffee. And that's called habit stacking. You're little by little adding these tips into your current lifestyle.
I like that. Or you can like while you're laying in bed, you can listen to meditation before you get out the bed, and that's what I normally do because it's like that's my battery that starts the day. I have to meditate and ground myself, and journal after that. Those are my two habit stackings. But yeah, I think it's gonna be overwhelming for some people that this is like totally new to them. So with that said, Monica, what are some ways someone can start today? Maybe just picking one of those things, or what do you suggest? Like they're just trying to get into the whole holistic living.
Yeah, I think probably starting with one, right? Because it's like holistic living to me, it's almost like when you think about sustainability, you're like, wow, this is a lot, right? It's like, where do I start? And then people feel overwhelmed and they don't start. So I think starting with one activity, it's just probably the best way to go. And then being consistent with it. And then always, like, again, I will always say that have that level of grace with yourself. Like, if you don't do it, if you miss out a week, there's every day you have an opportunity to start new.
Right. Yeah, and I actually do like the values. Like they take on some sort of assessment to kind of get clear on what it is you really want. Maybe that way from there, and then you can narrow down. Okay, this is the bullet point I want to work on.
Yeah.
Nikki, you want to ask anything else?
Yes. To our community, do you already live a holistic lifestyle? If so, which principles do you live by? Share with us and let us know in the comments for the show and on our blog posts.
Yeah, and doing this research, it made me really think like I actually have 20 own your power lifestyle principles that are a combination of some of these things that we mentioned, but also just more about stepping into your power. So if you want to get that principles list, all you got to do is join our mailing list and you'll get that gift from me. Just go to ownyourpowerlifestyle.com, and once you join it, you'll get the email with all the principles that you can start to follow.
Thank you, Monica, so much for joining us today. Would you tell our Own Your Power family how to get in touch with you?
Well, I am on Instagram at Yogini, YOGINI_. Then I also have a CMOS company, SEE.MOS. You can find me either those two places. And then, and I have She Rose as well. So
give the She Rose website.
She Rose Natural Skin.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I did want to add, just so everybody knows, that Monica is she's been very big on, like your products are all natural. They're what else? Fair trade. Like
so they're fair trade. They're also the packaging for most of them, if not all of them, are sustainable. So really trying to reduce the impact one has on the environment. So not making products just to make products and they end up in a landfill that can't be recycled, but finding innovative ways to be able to put your products out there without causing a mess.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everyone. Well, thank you for being here, Monica. Nikki, thank you as well for helping me as always. If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating. We were in several locations, from Amazon, Audible, to iTunes, to Spotify. So wherever you're listening to this, please, give us a rating and give us a comment and to let us know how you like the show. And if you have any suggestions for any improvements, we'd love to hear it. And if you want to learn more about what I do with intuitive life coaching, with Reiki, I also do retreats. Please go to ownyourpowerlifestyle.com because I'm here to awaken, heal, and transform you. And thank you again for being a part of the Own Your Power community. And, we're looking forward to seeing you in the next show. Remember, anything you want is attainable.
Own your